So earlier this month, Anthropic announced something called Claude for small business. And one of the main features is a direct integration with QuickBooks. The idea that you connect QuickBooks account and AI can close your month, reconcile your books, flag things that don't match, generate a plain English summary of your profit and loss, and basically do a lot of the work that your bookkeeper does, or that you've been doing yourself at 10 p.m. on a Sunday. When I first saw this, I had mixed feelings about it because part of me appreciated what they built, and part of me, the part that has spent years working inside construction businesses and watching what happens when financial data doesn't get the attention that it needs, had some real questions. So I want to walk through this with you today. What this tool actually does, where it can help, what it can't do no matter how advanced it gets, and the cost question that's the elephant in the room. So by the end of this video, you'll have a clear picture of where AI fits in your financial setup and where it doesn't, and you'll be able to make that call for yourself. So let's talk about what Claude for small business claims to do and what I actually saw. So Anthropic is the company that makes Claude, which is an AI assistant similar to ChatGPT. They just launched a product called Claude for small business, a set of pre-built workflows that connect Claude to tools small businesses already use, like QuickBooks, PayPal, HubSpot, Google Workspace, and others. The QuickBooks integration is the one that's relevant to contractors, and the marketing around it is pretty bold. The claims are that once you connect it to QuickBooks account, Claude can close out your month, reconcile your books against your bank statements, flag anything that doesn't match, write a plain English version of your P&L, and put together a tax packet for your accountant. It runs inside a product called Claude Cowork. And to access the workflows that actually do tasks, not just answer questions, you would need the max subscription, which starts at $100 a month and goes up $200 depending on the usage. That all sounds pretty impressive, and I really got excited. So I went and tried it, and what I saw was a lot more limited than what the marketing describes. I watched others test it too, and the experience was consistent. The tool doesn't actually enter transactions, code expenses, reconcile your accounts in any meaningful way, and doesn't close your month. What it can do is look at what's already in your QuickBooks and give you a summary or flag something that looks off based on past entries. That's useful in the right context, but it's stretched compared to what's being described. I want to make sure you understand this clearly before we go any further, because it changes everything about how you should think about this tool. Claude will not enter anything into QuickBooks for you. It reads what humans put in. If nobody entered data correctly, Claude has nothing accurate to work with. The entry, the coding, the job tagging, the reconciliation, a human still does all that. AI is reading the result, not doing the work. That's the foundation. So where this can help, I want to be fair here because this tool does have real uses, and I don't want to be someone who just dismisses new technology without actually thinking about it. So if you already have organized, well-maintained books, meaning someone is doing the work of keeping your QuickBooks clean, your transactions are coded correctly, job costing is set up properly, and nothing has been left to pile up, then this kind of AI layer on top could really bring value. Getting a fast, plain English summary of your profit and loss before a meeting, surfacing a cash flow snapshot without having to navigate through QuickBooks screen yourself, having something flag a transaction that looks like it might be in the wrong category. For a contractor who already has a solid financial foundations, those are real-time savers. For contractors who have been curious about AI but haven't known where to start, a tool like this that's connected to software that you're already using is a pretty reasonable entry point. It's approachable, it's designed to be used by someone who isn't a finance person. So yes, there are real use cases. And I want you to keep that in mind as I explain what the limitations are, because this isn't a good or bad situation. It's a good for what and not good for what situation. So why construction makes this even more complicated? Most of the contractors watching this aren't just running a simple QuickBooks setup. You have project management software like JobTread, Buildertrend, Job Nibbles, whatever it is you're using. And that software has to sync to QuickBooks correctly for any of the financial data to mean anything. You have cost codes that map to specific jobs and specific chart of accounts. You have transactions that need to land in the right place on the right project, or the whole job cost in picture falls apart. Claude for small business reads what's in QuickBooks. It has no idea what's happening in your project management software. It doesn't know which cost codes you're using, how they're mapped, whether the sync between your two systems have been running correctly, or whether the transactions that came through last week landed in the right job or the wrong one. So when it produces a summary of your P&L or flags something that looks off, it's working from the QuickBooks side only. And in construction, the QuickBooks side is only as accurate as everything that flows into it from the project project management side. If that sync has issues, and in my experience, it very often does, the AI is reading a picture that's already incomplete before it even starts. This is actually one of the biggest reasons why construction bookkeeping requires a human who understands both systems, not just QuickBooks, both systems and how they talk to each other. An AI tool that only connects to one side of that equation isn't going to catch the problems that live in between. And in construction, that's actually exactly where the problems are. So what AI cannot do, no matter how good it gets. This is the part I actually needed to make this video for, because I think some contractors are going to hear about this tool, see QuickBooks integration, and conclude that, they don't need a bookkeeper anymore. And I want to walk through why that conclusion is the problem. The first thing to understand is that AI reads what's in the data. It doesn't know what should be in the data. Let's give you a real example. Say you have a contractor who's been running projects for 2 years, and his bookkeeper has been entering subcontractor payments under the wrong expense category the whole time. Everything looks neat in QuickBooks, the numbers add up, the reports come out clean, but his job costing is wrong, his overhead calculation is wrong, and his pricing decisions have been based on bad information for 2 years. If you connected Claude to that QuickBooks account and run the month-end workflow, it's going to produce a clean summary. It's going to look super professional. It's going to feel like your books are in order because AI is reading what's there. It has no way of knowing that the underlying data is wrong. A bookkeeper who works in construction would have caught that problem. The AI won't. The second thing is that AI doesn't understand your specific business, your project structure, and your industry. It doesn't know that the $12,000 charge in October was a retainage payment that needs to be handled separately. It doesn't know that your largest job has a change order pending that changes the budget numbers. It doesn't know that you switched project management software in March and the sync has been creating duplicate entries since then. These are things a human being who is paying attention to your account is going to notice and ask you about. The AI is not going to ask. It's going to run the workflow with what it has. The third thing, and this one I want you to really sit with, is that the output looks epic even when it's wrong. That's one of the things that makes AI useful in a lot of situations. It produces clean, polished output. But in financial reporting, that confidence can work against you. A bookkeeper who finds something confusing is going to call you. A bookkeeper who isn't sure how to categorize something is going to ask before they file it. AI produces the clean summary regardless, and if you trust that summary without understanding what went into it, you're making decisions on information that you haven't verified. The errors that come out of this don't always show up quickly either. Miscoded transactions, wrong job cost allocations, your payroll planning built on reconciliations that missed something. These are the kinds of mistakes that show up at tax time and when a lender asks for clean financials, or when you're trying to figure out why a job that looked profitable on paper somehow cost you money. I'm not saying the tool is going to mess up your books on purpose. I'm saying that the thing that makes AI fast is also the thing that can make it dangerous with financial data. It produces a result whether or not the input is correct. The short version is the AI only works with what you feed it. If you feed it wrong, what you get back. There's a phrase for it: garbage in, garbage out. AI doesn't change that rule, it just speeds it up. So when someone tells you AI is going to replace all the jobs, the question worth asking is who's going to talk to the field crew about that receipt from Tuesday, because AI is still waiting on that answer. So the cost question, let's talk about money, because I think the framing around this tool has been a little misleading. To use the agentic workflows, you need the Claude Max plan. The lower tier is $100 a month, the higher $200 a month. That's just the subscription cost before you've paid anyone to actually manage that AI. Now let's compare that to what a part-time bookkeeper costs for construction business. For a contractor doing somewhere between 500 and 1.5 million in annual revenue, monthly bookkeeping typically runs somewhere between 300 and 600 a month, depending on the scope of work, the size of business, of course, and how complex the setup is. That's a human being who understands construction accounting, knows your account, catches problems before they become expensive, asks questions when something doesn't add up, and takes accountability for the work. So you're looking at spending 100 to 200 a month on a tool that requires your books to already be in good condition to produce anything useful. And if your books are already in good condition, that means someone is already doing the work of keeping them that way. So you're adding a subscription on top of the bookkeeper. The other thing I want to mention is that the workflows that do the most intensive work the multi-step reconciliations, the payroll planning, the month-end close, those are the ones that use the most processing capacity, which is exactly why Anthropic built the high-tier subscription. If you are running those workflows regularly, you may find the $100 plan isn't enough and you're moving up and up, and now you're spending a lot of money on a tool that still needs someone to maintain. So how to think about AI in your financial setup going forward? I use AI in my own work, my team uses it, and I think contractors who lean to use it as well are going to have advantage, of course. But there's a way to think about it that actually serves you and a way to think about it that creates risk. The way it actually serves you is a layer on top of the good foundation. The way it creates risk is using it as a substitute for the foundation. One thing I want to flag that came up at the conference I attended recently, before I close this section out, when you're thinking about AI and your financial data, security matters. Most of us are using the consumer versions of these tools. And on a consumer plan, if you are passing QuickBooks data, profit and loss numbers, payroll information, or anything sensitive into AI chat, that data is going somewhere. With Claude specifically on a consumer account, that was a policy change in 25. That means your conversations can be retained for years and potentially used for training if you don't actively opt out in time. That's not something a lot of people know about. The takeaway from the conversation at that conference was this: if you are going to use AI with any financial data, Microsoft Copilot currently has the strongest built-in data protections for business use, partially because it works within your existing Microsoft security settings and has stricter controls on what can be entered and accessed. It's not that other tools are unsafe. For example, Claude's paid enterprise plans do have a zero retention policy, but there still have been issues with it. On the consumer plans that most small business owners are using, you want to be careful about what you are handing these tools. Bottom line, don't paste your financials and profit and loss QuickBooks report into a cheaper AI tool and assume that data is private. It's not. For contractors who are curious about this tool, my recommendation is to start with a good look at where your books actually are right now. If they're in good shape, this is worth exploring as a, complement to what you're already doing. If you're not in good shape, fixing that is a priority. AI is going to keep getting more capable, and this is not going to be the last time you hear about the tool that connects to your QuickBooks and promises, to make your financial life easier. I wanted to make this video now so you have a framework for evaluating all of them, not just this one. The question to ask is always the same. What does this tool actually need to work well? How does it handle wrong or incomplete data? What does it cost in total? And what is it replacing versus what it is adding on top of something that already exists? If you want to talk through where your books are right now and figure out what's actually worth automating in your business, book a call with me. The link is in the description. We can look at your specific situation and give you a real answer, not a generic one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.